Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Say Less Basketball Podcast. You are currently listening to episode 22. We got some more topics this week than normal. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the playoffs. Also, the Zach Fulcher, as always, joined with Will Donzella, Mohammed Dafelseed, the squad as usual. Hit the social media as obviously. It's episode 22. If you're not doing it by now, I don't know what's going on, but but obviously,
Oh, that's a foul.
We talk about the playoffs, and then we'll be talking about that'll be last. Playoffs will be last, and then we're talking about recent coach hirings and firings. Also talking about Ben Simmons, the issues in Philadelphia. Will the process last? Stuff like that, and then also the Scottie Pippen and Kevin Durant beef that surfaced this week as well. So first off, let's talk about the coach hirings. So recently, there's been a lot of head coaching hirings in the league. The Mavericks recently hired Jason Kidd after they fired, or they parted ways with, I think, Carlisle. And then the Blazers, Celtics, Pacers. So there's a lot of interesting changes that are happening. Mavericks also got a new GM as well. So first, I want to talk about the Mavericks first. Gentlemen, do you think that bringing in a new head coach and a new GM is going to help them get over the top, get past this, help Luka, get a better relationship with them? I know it's been hard. The news has surfaced this off season after they lost the playoffs that he hasn't a good relations with them. So do you guys think that hiring a new head coach and a new GM is going to help the Mavericks?
Well, I saw that Luka wasn't really a big fan of the GM firing. I forgot his name, but he was with the organization for about 20 plus years. I think I did see that he approved the Jason Kidd hiring. I know a lot of fans are not really big fans of Jason Kidd as a coach. I'm a big fan of him as a player, but I do think he's a decent coach. I think he was a decent coach with Nets and Milwaukee. But
True.
I mean, the coaching wasn't a problem. I think it's Porzingis. I think it was the players around Luka that were a problem. So if they address that in the offseason and they trade Porzingis or they get Luka a shooter, a second star, like something like that, I think they'll be fine. But coaching, I don't think was a problem. But obviously, Rick Carlisle took his own decision to walk away from the team. So I want to fault the Mavericks for what happened there. But Kidd's a good coach. Just as long as they address that roster, they'll be fine.
That's facts. I agree with that. Yeah, Porzingis is certainly an issue, so we'll see what happens with that. Will, any thoughts on the Mavericks hiring?
Oh my God, dude! Watching this game, it's nuts. Watching we got Suns Clippers on right now. Game 4, right? Game 4.
Yeah.
Final 20 seconds actually. Paul George just committed a really dumb foul, and then the Clippers couldn't rebound. But anyways, for the Rick Carlisle, he's stepping down. I don't think this is going to answer their problems because I frankly think Rick Carlisle was a great coach. So I don't think losing him is going to help. Maybe you can find somebody better, but it's not, to me, it's not ideal at first. And then obviously firing of the GM. If you're not keeping your one star happy, here's the issue, all right? The Mavericks are 100% revolving around Luka Doncic. So if your one dude is not happy, you're probably in trouble. And like Mohammed, you said, he approved the Jason Kidd hiring. So, I mean, maybe you meant some stuff there, but I don't know. I didn't see Jason Kidd do anything fantastic in Milwaukee. It's not like I think he's outstanding. I don't think the issue with the Mavericks is coaching, honestly. I think it's personnel. So I honestly would say, if anything, this is a downgrade at the coaching position. I think Carlisle is probably a better coach than Jason Kidd.
For sure.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree with that, right? So, but, so if anything, the team got worse. They got to address these personnel issues. You need somebody else that can handle the ball and can run an offense, because Luka ain't going to play AI minutes for a whole year. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's going to get hurt. He already did. And I don't wish that on him, but like, it's just unrealistic. It really is. So
I saw that him and Carlisle actually had like some type of like rift in terms of like the way they approached games and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was the whole reason he walked away, but I did see that him and Luka didn't really see eye to eye sometimes. So I don't know if that was a big issue for him to just walk away like that. And did you guys also see that the GM that they hired was some like Nike VP or something like that?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's
What's
about.
the credibility?
The credibility. Yeah, exactly. So, but then again, I don't know his history with other things than Nike. So hopefully he does a good job. But
I would like to know about that beef. Do you know anything about that? Anything more?
They didn't go into detail. I just saw multiple reports that said him and Luka didn't see eye to eye sometimes.
That would be interesting to me, because honestly, when I saw Carlisle step down, the first impression I got was he just quit. Like, he kind of just quit on the team.
Yeah.
Right.
That was kind of the impression I got, especially now that he's already onto another team. So I don't know. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
PG just cost him the game. Yikes. Go on.
Big yikes. But also, Boston Celtics also recently fired their head coach, Brad Stevens. And then right after, they traded Kemba Walker, which is a move that we've talked about that probably should have happened sooner. But they
Better late than never.
So I think the Celtics are still looking for a head coach? I believe.
Well, Brad Stevens didn't get fired.
No, they signed somebody.
He moved up to.
He moved up?
No, never mind. Yeah, he just moved up.
Moved up to president of basketball operations, and they hired some guy named Maduka. He's a long-time assistant.
Is that the dude out of the Nets?
Yeah, he was a long-time assistant for Spurs.
Right,
and then he went to, I think it was the Bucks. I don't know if it was the Bucks, but then he went to the Nets, and then obviously now he's a Boston Nets coach. So he's been a long-time assistant in the league. I heard good things about him, great things. So one of my coworkers at work actually was a big fan of him. I was hoping they would get hired to a team. So a lot of people speak highly of him.
I just looked it up. Yeah, Spurs, Sixers, and Nets. So yeah, assistant. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see who else he brings into the staff with him too. But I think, right off the bat, I agree with the Kemba trade too. It was not his. I mean, he didn't really. I feel like it's better with Al Horford. I think that they were really missing a certified big man, and Horford was obviously on the trade block for the Thunder, because obviously they're building towards a younger talent generation too. So he didn't fit in that organization. And I think he really fits with this team because he's played with them before, and he knows some of these guys really well too. So I like this trade too. I like this hire. I like the move up from Stevens too. I think this is primed for success in Boston, but we'll see. They have not lived up to the potential since they into the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron, but we'll see. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, you're a huge Celtics dude. I can't remember how many years in a row did you say Celtics in the finals?
Celtics in 7, and then it never happened.
No, it never happened. They're not. I don't know. Danny Ainge was a pretty good GM, but the problem with him was he wouldn't do what needed to be done. Like, he wouldn't take the risks to win now. He was always so concerned about the future. And they've got a good future, but sometimes you gotta go for it in the moment. I wonder if that will be something that Brad Stevens will do. As for coaching, This is another team that I don't know if coaching was their biggest issue. Brad Stevens is a pretty good coach. I think he's been exposed a little bit more, but like the Celtics' big issue this year was injuries. And, that happens. So it's not an excuse, but it was like, we've been over it many times on this show. I provided the numbers. It's like they played like a total of like 100 possessions with their starting five. It was some outrageously low number. So that was their biggest issue. In my opinion, will this set them over the top? I don't know. I don't know if they have the roster to win the East. I would still roster wise, I'd still place them probably fourth best in the East.
Yeah, if they can get everything right.
If they can get everything right, because I don't think they're better than the Nets. I don't think they're better than the Bucks and the Sixers, depending on what happens with the Sixers. I'm talking about roster, not necessarily how they'll end up playing, because I think the Sixers are just a joke. But in terms of coaching changes, I'm optimistic for this new guy. I don't even remember his name, Mohammed, but
Aduka.
Yeah, Duka. And he, coming out of the Spurs organization, there's some not so great history, but maybe he will break the chain. And
damn,
I don't know. Maybe Budenholzer has broken the chain. I don't know yet. Well, it remains to be seen.
Bruce Brown, Jim Boylan, Budenholzer.
So, we'll see. Fingers crossed.
And I think they did the right thing. Yeah.
I think it was. Kemba. I didn't even. Yeah, Kemba needed to go. Of course, yeah. Kemba was. It was time. Sure. And it sucks.
Big fan of Kemba, but I liked him. But obviously.
I like him as a player. He just wasn't a good fit there.
Good fit.
Yeah.
Because their offense, it was like they so clearly try to run through Brown and Tatum. It's like he was just kind of there for a spot up shooting role, which is not
his game at all.
That's not him. That's what Derrick Rose became in the Cavs, bro. Trying to hold him back. Yikes.
Also, so another head coaching hiring that was interesting is the Pacers, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes. So okay, so the Pacers are actually hiring. Yeah, the Pacers are actually hiring Rick Carlisle as the new head coach for a 4-year deal. Which is interesting. I think they're getting a great experienced coach. I think that's what they need. And I've always liked the Pacers. I think they're a scrappy team. Not a lot of star player on that roster or names that pop out, but they have a great group of guys who are good basketball players. So this I think I like this hiring a lot. Personally, I don't know how good the Pacers' chances are with as terms of go finals or anything or the playoffs. They might make the playoffs, but
they will
probably if everyone's healthy. True. But it's just interesting, to see Carlisle move on to the Mavericks. Move off of the Mavericks onto the Pacers. So
fast too.
Yeah, so fast.
Well, he was a assistant coach, I think from 03, 07.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he does have ties, and I think Larry Bird was is he still the president?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. So yeah, him and Larry did have a relationship, so I think that's why he got hired so quickly. I am kind of disappointed because I did want to see him go to the Blazers or the Milwaukee Bucks, but obviously Budenholzer has them in the conference finals and they have a good chance of going to the finals. So I don't think it'll look good on their part to fire the coach after they do something like that. But Trailblazers, I think, would have been a good team for him. Pacers not bad. They're just like a 4th or 5th seed type team, not really going nowhere.
Yeah.
They do have pieces to trade for a superstar, but it's not like someone would actually sign as a free agent in Indiana.
Yeah.
But you don't even know. But yeah, they'll be a good, decent team, but I don't think they're gonna go to championship aspirations.
First of all,
facts.
First of all, if the Bucks fired Budenholzer even after this year, I would still support it. Okay, I don't care.
I'm just saying.
I know it wouldn't make sense. I don't care, man. They could have gone 82-0, and I still would be like, this man is trash. But here's the deal with this. I think this is a great hiring for the Pacers because I think Carlisle is a good coach. Like, sue me, okay? Whatever. I think he's a great coach. But I think they could be like the Hawks are this year. If all the pieces fall right, they could somehow make the conference finals. Like if again, KD, whoever, Kyrie, Harden, two of those three or whatever get hurt again, and let's say the Nets make no improvements to their roster that they desperately need this year, and the Sixers are the same team. Right. I think that somehow the Pacers could find themselves in the same position if the pieces fall that way. Otherwise, I would agree with you. They're probably just a first or a second round exit. Realistically, that they could win their first round if they're not like a bottom 3 seed. They could win their first round as a 5th or a 4th seed. If they're in that one, yeah. But if they're at bottom 3, they're probably gonna get smoked. They don't have stars. They don't. Do you want to consider Malcolm Brogdon a star? I guess maybe.
I mean, Sabonis was an all-star this year.
Yeah, you're right. Sabonis is a star. I forgot about that.
I don't think he's like a franchise cornerstone though.
And he's a great player. You got Brogdon. I mean, they have a lot of good pieces.
Good pieces. I'm just saying they're like a superstar weight, but they can only trade for one.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have to give up some of that depth.
Yeah, some of that depth. Exactly.
The Pacers are the team the Nets want around like Durant or Harden.
They already had that team, but they traded for Harden.
They gave it up. I know.
Yeah.
So that's exactly who they are. So they'll be better. They definitely got better at the coaching position. I mean, Jordi Grande. I don't even know how you say that. But didn't do. I think he was just there for like an interim year. Yeah. He was just there till somebody else came along. And Carlisle obviously has the experience there. And I trust Larry Legend. So,
facts.
If he's doing something, I listen. Unlike I listen to Scottie Pippen. We'll get to that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But also, the Blazers recently hired Chauncey Billups take over head coaching duties in Portland.
They haven't hired him yet. They're in talks, but it's not.
Well, it's going to be like tomorrow or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they reported.
They have confirmation of it.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Right. Yeah. So as we all know, Terry Stotts was recently was the head coach since 2012 for the Blazers. They parted ways earlier this month. But Billups, so for Portland, I think they need a head coach that can get them out of the playoff slump. As Will has mentioned before, Portland is very, very bad at choking. I have the numbers right here. They have made the playoffs in 8 straight seasons, but have been eliminated in the first round 4 out of the last 5 times, including the series lost to Denver this year. They lost in 6 games, which was really disappointing.
So the one time was against the Warriors that they went further, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But Lillard reported that he liked Jason Kidd and Billups. So those are the 2 candidates he really liked. So this is a hiring that he likes as well. And obviously Billups has had, a storied career in the NBA, 5-time. Yeah. So they have faith in him, I think, and Dame has faith in him as well, and he has experience. So I kind of like this hire, especially after the Stotts firing. They needed a head coach that can help them and help Dame, get into playoff success consistently and not be choking like they have been. So I'm surprised Terry wasn't fired earlier, but. No, this is obviously anything new is good and can lead to change. So I'm not going to rant on and give Billups hate just because it hasn't nothing has happened with the team yet with him. So I could see it being a great hire, but we'll see. That's interesting. Will Mohammed takes.
Well, I think it's a good hire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of chatter about it, um, just because of how Dame reacted to them exiting the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a good first step in the right direction in terms of keeping him. Next step would probably be trading some pieces, whether that's CJ McCollum or Nurkic or some of their uh, rotating players or role players, I should say. Chauncey is a good long-time assistant in the league, so he does have experience. He is an assistant to the Clippers right now, who just lost to the Suns and down 3-1. But I think he'll be a good coach. Um, Maybe this is the last straw for Dame.
Yeah.
In terms of like what they do this year and also who they acquire. I don't know if he wants them to trade CJ and get him like a new running mate, but I would agree with that if they did do that. But Chauncey's a good pickup, so a good hire, I should say. That's all.
Man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have a heyday with this. Dude, the Blazers choke, and I don't know if it's a coaching issue. Honestly, I really don't, because honestly, Dame and CJ have played pretty bad in some key games. I wouldn't say this year. I know Dame had one really bad game against Nuggets, but like I remember, especially against the Warriors that one year, and the Pelicans that one year, like they have played really bad. So I don't know who is more to blame. I understand though why you would side with the player, because Dame is all world. Like he's
Right.
that good. Like he is that dude.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this will be good. It's new blood. It could be something. It could help them, because really, like you said, Zach, they gotta stop choking. Like they need somebody to get them over that hump, and maybe it's gonna be Chauncey. I don't know. We obviously
Certainly
don't know.
wasn't Terry Stotts.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But that brings me to the issue that again with a lot of these teams I see is the bigger problem, and that's the roster. I've said the Blazers have a good enough roster to make it deep in the playoffs, and I still do think they do, just off their star power. They really do.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carmelo, Nurkic, they're not scrubs. Dame, CJ, we know that. We know who they are. What's that dude? That younger dude? I forget his name. Shoot. They have some young dude.
Nasir Little.
Yeah, is that I can't remember. It might
Zach
be him.
Collins.
Keep spitting names. It might be
slam dunk champion.
Who's in the
Derrick Jones.
contest.
Well, Derrick Jones. I think it's Little, but Derrick Jones is. The point is they have a decent roster, but it seems like it's just not.
It's their defense, man. It's so weird. Their defense is so bad every year. I don't get it. Like they literally
have one of the worst defense. I think they have like one of the worst defenses ever.
I don't know why they let Hassan Whiteside go like that. Now he's just wasting money on the Kings too. He had a great season with the Blazers too.
Jack would love to hear you say that.
Yeah, but he's not here.
Validate his fantasy picks.
They literally have 3 bigs on the roster, and they're all terrible defenders.
Man.
So I don't understand that. So I don't get why they didn't make a move. Why did they even sign Enes Kanter out of all players? And if they let go Hassan, Zach Collins was out for the season. Why would they sign Enes Kanter, who's not really known for his defense? I don't know who other big free agents they could have signed or they could have traded for, but first they got to find a defensive big man, and then obviously Dame and CJ are not really defensive players, so maybe sign a wing perimeter defender.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean they signed
and they got Robert Covington too,
but he can't do it all by himself. He's not like a game changer.
And that's why they're.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's why their roster is an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Because offensively,
I think it's roster.
hang.
Yeah. Roster. I think it's roster and coaching.
Yeah.
Or defensive coaching, I should say. A lot of Blazers fans don't like Terry Stotts, so I will take the word and believe that it wasn't really.
I wonder if Chauncey will have a more defensive-minded kind of coaching style, because that would help them. Because offensively, they could hang with virtually anybody. I mean, they got
Oh yeah, for sure.
five.
Right.
They probably got 4 or 5 guys on this team that could average 20 if they wanted.
Yep.
I mean, Carmelo is not a scrub. People kind of write him off every now and then, but he can still ball out.
Yep. Facts.
Derrick Jones had a few good weeks on my fantasy team, so I mean, he's pretty good.
Did they trade that one guy that was really good when CJ was down? Who was that? I can't remember.
Norman Powell.
I can't remember who.
No, they got Norman Powell in a
I
trade.
forgot they traded Norman. They got Norman Powell. Who they trade away from Norman Powell?
That's what I'm saying.
It was it was Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah, Gary Trent.
Who was a decent defender.
Right. I don't know why they traded away Gary Trent.
I forgot about that.
That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
I forgot about him.
I can't believe they traded him away. He was hooping.
So the only decent perimeter defender other than Rocco got traded away for a scoring guard, which they already had basically 3 of.
Well, they have Rondé House Jefferson. He's a decent defender.
Yeah, but they don't play him. They
don't. I was just gonna say they don't play him at all.
They benched him and Derrick Jones Jr., who are probably the best defenders other than Rocco. Okay, that has to do with
so
coaching.
maybe
that's coaching.
Yeah, that would be coaching. I guess it might be more about coaching.
Lord, bro, that's stupid.
But either way, they still got to add another defensive. You need a defensive wing.
Chauncey was part of those.
Pistons.
Pistons.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure. I think he'll fix up their defense.
He's gonna get in and make them dodge wrenches.
We better hope. They better hope. Interesting coaching segment. Any last comments about coaching? Any head coaching? Any other hirings?
Do you guys have any teams you think that should fire the coach? I do know that. Well, I forgot that the Wizards.
Wizards fired
left.
Scott.
And then Orlando, Steve Clifford.
Yeah.
So they do have those opening positions, but those are probably teams that are going to go into a rebuilding phase.
Yeah.
Again.
Again.
They never left, bro.
Orlando Loki has a decent squad. Just injuries to key players over the years have been hurting them.
Trading Vooch.
And trading Vooch.
But
no, they're definitely rebuilding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But they have a lot of good young players. Isaac, Cole Anthony.
Yeah, that's true. They gotta find a coach for their future though. That's gonna be a task.
I do think the Wizards might trade away both Beal and Russ. I know they both said they want to stay, especially Beal because he signed that extension. But I think if they do decide to go rebuilding, the Mavericks should go for Beal. I think that's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Shooter who can create their own shot.
That's true.
Problem is, how much do they have to give up for that?
Oh, dude, give up Tim Hardaway, Porzingis, Powell. I don't care. Give up 5 guys, dude. As long as they get somebody that can create their own shot.
We'll literally pay his contract worth to you twice. I'm dead. I don't know. Yeah. There's nobody else I really care enough about. I was just gonna mention the Nets.
No.
Steve Nash gets one more year.
Oh my god.
He gets one more year in my opinion.
Oh man.
Because his coaching mistakes were glaring.
What did you say, Mohammed?
I was gonna say Mike D'Antoni's still on the market.
Didn't he interview with
he interviewed with the Blazers and I think it was the Mavericks, but
the Blazers chose right. The Mavericks and the Blazers don't need him. Neither team needs him.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to amplify their strengths.
Facts.
Bulls could use him
as an assistant.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Actually, no. Bulls have defensive problems too. Their offense is fine.
Mike D'Antoni. Hire Mike D'Antoni and remake the Harden Rockets. Oh no!
Oh my god!
But
one game away.
Interesting. Nice question from Mohammed there too to wrap it up. But we're moving on to the next one. Yes, sir. We're moving on to Ben Simmons. So, Man. Ben Simmons has been under hot destruction, hot fire after getting bounced from the playoffs. We talked about it last week a little bit. But Doc Rivers recently said that he thinks that the shooting can be a mental thing. So obviously Ben passed up a lot of he didn't take a lot of shots. Only took like 4 shots in the 7-game series for some reason. He took no shots, I think, games 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then he obviously passed up that wide open dunk for some reason as well. And then obviously Doc Rivers in the post-game press conference also said he doesn't know if Ben can be a consistent point guard on a championship team. And then Joel Embiid was also very respectful of Simmons. And he just looked disappointed, but he also did say that the turning point for that game was when they passed up the dunk, and then they allowed scores on the other end as well. So Ben Simmons, what do you think his future is with the NBA? Do you think the Sixers should trade him? Do you think they should help him out in the offseason? Do you think Doc Rivers can help him get better at coaching? Or do you think, like I said before, just now, that they should trade him? Personally, it's really hard decision to just trade him because they have such a bond. My take is that the duo between Simmons and Embiid has been, the duo that Philly has gone with this whole process, this whole rebuilding, this whole recent playoff runs. It would be hard just to give that up. But I feel like it's not working, and it just has not worked consistently. And I just don't know when it'll start working. And they can go into the offseason workouts this season, and he can work on it. But you never know until you're back in the postseason again, and those looks come into fruition again. So it's going to be really hard to trade him. I think that's the tough decision that they have to make, and that's on them. I don't think they're going to because of the recent comments that Doc said, and said that they could work on it in the offseason. So I don't think they will trade him. That debate, should they trade him? I don't know. It's very tough. I want to hear what you guys think first as well, because if sway me.
Okay. I'll start, Mohammed, because I feel like I always go last, and I don't like that.
Do you think, man?
All right.
So personally, I wasn't too sure about trading him either, but then I heard Joel's comments and Doc's comments, and man, I gotta be wondering, like, if I'm Ben Simmons, it's hard. To me, it would be pretty hard. Somebody's knocking at the door. Whatever. It would be pretty hard to come back from that. Like, you can't say Doc can't give that response. You can't say that. It doesn't matter if your player literally missed 100 shots in a game. You cannot say that about, especially your star. So to me, that right there, that ended it. It's over. Like, they're gonna trade him. Now, I know Stephen A was saying that the Sixers are saying they're not looking to trade him, which in his own words was bull BS. I think is literally what he said. They're looking to trade him. Yeah. I would. If you can find a good package for him, I'd trade him because, like you said, Zach, it's not working. And how much time do you give it? How much more time do you give it? Because Simmons is only 24, so he could get better.
And this was supposed to be like their year. They had the seeds. They had.
And I was just going to get to that point. Is like once the Nets lost, you got to be looking at it like, yo, all we have to do is beat the Bucks. That's our only like real series. But you let the Hawks beat you, and the Hawks. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks the Hawks are better than the Sixers, especially roster wise. So I'm listening to trades. If you can get a good package, I'm sending him out the door. But he can't, in my opinion, I don't know how he can stay anymore because of what Embiid and Doc said. Like, to me, that relationship is done. Like, it's been tarnished beyond repair, in my opinion. So,
Ben Simmons' situation is crazy to think about because the whole him shooting, he hasn't improved in 4 seasons. In 4. And I remember last summer during the offseason, I think it was during the 4-month hiatus, everybody was, I think there was reports saying, oh, Ben, was working on his shot. He's improved. And he even said out of his mouth, I think before the season started this year, he's going to start taking more shots, 15 feet, foot, 20 feet out from the rim. It hasn't happened. And it's crazy because when I was watching First Take and also Undisputed, they did say that reports from sources they have near the Sixers, Ben Simmons kind of been like babied about this. Like nobody really pushes him.
Yep. And
like
Doc
nobody's in his ear.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, Doc this is his first year, so
I know, but I'm saying like we've seen that in Doc's history. Like he didn't do it with the Clippers, and that caused some problems.
Yeah. That's also true.
But
like good point right there. So if it's not the coach, Stephen A. Smith also said there's not really a veteran like on the team. Like you would think someone like Danny Green, who's had his shooting slumps, who went to if you guys know Lethal Shooter, he's a shooting coach. Mm-hmm. He's kind of Instagram celebrity, but he's still someone that knows what they're talking about. He went to him and he improved his jumper in terms of consistency. But Ben Simmons hasn't really done that. You just see him do like fancy workouts, highlight videos to post on Instagram. But is there really like a video out there of him like doing shooting drills with the actual shooting coach? No. And there's nobody there in his ear to talk to him about it. And apparently that's been going on since he was at LSU. Nobody's really gotten in his ear about it. So if I was the Sixers, I would trade for him. I did see a report that said there's 20 teams that are interested to be traded. To want to trade for Ben Simmons. So if he still has that much interest, you could still get a decent deal, even though you kind of botched the whole James Harden deal earlier. But like, golly, man, it's just crazy to think about. When I saw that dunk that he didn't go for on Trae Young coming at him, who didn't even jump, Trae Young expected him to dunk it, so all he did was just swipe. He didn't even jump. So all Ben had to do was just go up, and he just passed it to Thibault. It was just, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's over with. It's done. They got to trade him, dude. Because that's the one thing you don't do, bro. That's unbelievable, for real. Ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
Man, dude is 6'10", versus the 5'10". Trae Young's 5'10" at that. No.
Literally a foot less. Oh my God. Yo, what you mentioned that he didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter in like the last 5 games, right, Zach?
Yeah,
which is insane. But the thing that might be more insane is that he has had the worst free throw percentage in postseason history. This past postseason, which is it was just is crazy. And I actually do think, like most of the people have been saying, I think it's in his head. At this point, I do actually think it's in his head.
Yeah. After that series, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it was in his head before that series, and then it just started becoming more and more like poignant.
Right.
But one trade package I saw that would be interesting to me and it would make sense, is the Warriors. To me, I do think he would be a good fit there for the reasons that Stephen A. kind of outlined on First Take, which was you got Draymond there. This is not happening with Draymond. Draymond Green will chew you out. He will yell at you and make sure you are working hard because, like you said, I also heard I was seeing that too. Ben Simmons' baby. Everybody's around him is nice to him. Like there's no sense of urgency. Clearly, Doc wasn't that guy for him.
Yeah.
And and him and Embiid are throwing like passive aggressive statements at him through the media. Just be a man and go talk to him. Like honestly. Yeah, so I do think the Warriors would be a good fit. I do.
Yeah.
Did you also see the Bulls might be a good
oh wow.
There was some meetings in Chicago between Rich Paul and him, just because the combine's here, but also, the Bulls in Chicago. So as a Bulls fan, I've never really liked Simmons. I think a lot of people know that, but I think the Bulls are a decent squad for him in terms of personnel-wise, because Vucevic is a shooter, or he can shoot, I should say. So, we wouldn't have anybody clogging the paint. If they keep Laurie would be a perfect player for Simmons too. And Simmons is a playmaker and a defensive guy, all NBA defensive, which is what the Bulls have been missing all year, this past year.
Yeah, you got a good point there.
So if the Bulls do end up trading for him, I wouldn't mind that trade. But as long as he works on his shot. So
yeah.
Thaddeus Young, Garrett Temple, probably the only two veteran guys on the Bulls that could probably encourage him to do that, kind of be in his face about it. So I think that'd be the only other issue I'd have. So I wouldn't mind him seeing on the Bulls, man.
I forgot to say this, that a lot of people are saying he's trash. I do not think Ben Simmons is a bad player. He may have one glaring flaw, but here's the thing. As I forgot who said this, everything goes away when you win. Everything. All your flaws, they get diminished when you start winning something. By other people. Yeah. Not literally, but people don't notice them. Giannis. Giannis, you can say Giannis is literally the same player as Ben Simmons. You can almost say that in terms of play style. He won't really shoot. The difference is, as Skip and Shannon were pointing out, Giannis has the confidence to shoot. Ben Simmons won't even shoot. Giannis will literally airball 5 threes a game, and he will just keep going and going. He doesn't care.
Right.
But nobody, people, while they talk about Giannis's lack of talent in that facet, it's not really a big deal anymore. It was a few years ago, especially after the Kawhi thing, but he's kind of shut people up. So if Ben Simmons could get to a situation like that, I know with the Bulls, I don't think it would be that situation immediately, but it would help him. But I do think it is important for people to just not overreact and think he's a bad player. He's not a bad player. He's an all-star and an all-defensive player. That's right. Better than 90% of the NBA.
That's pretty good. Yep.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. A lot of teams would do anything for him. But let's say he doesn't improve his jump shot. What do you do then? What are your opinions?
Well, I mean, the other issue is just because the Sixers weren't really the right fit in terms of Embiid and being in the paint a lot.
No. I'm just talking about in general for him, his career. What does he do? Where does he go?
I think if his shooting is a problem, he doesn't improve his shooting. I think as long as he's in the right team, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
He needs to at least improve his free throw percentage.
At least, free throws. I don't need him, being like Mike in the mid range or Durant on the 3-point line. But as long as he's not scared to shoot like Giannis, and he can make 2 out of 7 or something, I mean that's good enough for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I brought the Sixers just because I think that was the biggest issue because Embiid being in the paint, I think Simmons, if he can't shoot, he can at least try to drive to the paint because he's a pretty good down the hill type of player, like one man fast break. But obviously the Sixers weren't the right team for that, and that showed this year.
I think the Warriors are great for him.
Yeah, it's definitely the culture. This culture for the Sixers definitely, I think, plays some part in it. Like he said about, not just babying him. And we've seen that all the way back since Jimmy and Brett Brown. Since I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, that's a good point.
JJ Redick, on the JJ Redick's podcast with Jimmy after why he left Philly, but they would sit in film rooms and they would just go through the film and nobody would say anything. And you have to say something if it's not working, right? And that's why Jimmy didn't want to go, didn't want to resign because you're not saying anything to dissolve the situation or the problems. And if you're not doing that, then change is not going to happen. So
I think
the
Sixers culture is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Just all around. There's nobody to hold others accountable. They clearly just have passive aggressive remarks and they don't like actually addressing problems. They just want to kind of shove it to the side and then complain about it to the media.
Right.
That's how I view it.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling mentally and with your game, that's just not a good place for you.
No. Yeah.
He can dip out. What's up?
I'm thinking because like you guys said, it's the culture. They did kind of not overhaul, but they hired Doc Rivers. They got a whole new coaching staff. They hired a new GM.
Yeah.
Then their president, I think, stepped down too. So in terms of front office and guys behind the scenes, they did change the scenery. So maybe it is the players.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The culture within the play. I should have been more clear with the players. Is it's just nobody wants to take that initiative to be like what Draymond would do on the
Jimmy, right?
Or Jimmy,
right.
Like exactly what Jimmy was saying. Like you got to start holding people accountable. No matter who it is, your star, everybody. And you definitely can't have your stars lashing out at each other after.
No.
Like that relationship's gone. I bet you he never texts Joel Embiid again.
Man.
Never say hi to that man.
You know, it's funny. Did you guys see the video of him? Like, this was like I think from 2 years ago, or like last year. He streams when he plays video games. So he was playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And he was playing with Cat. And he was trying to convince Cat to play one more game. And then he was like, "Who do you play tomorrow?" He's like, "Atlanta." He's like, "Oh yeah, you got plenty of time." Yeah. Bro, that was too funny. And people brought that video back up when they lost Game 7.
Man, that came back to bite him in the ass, bro.
Dude, that was too funny, G.
Man. That's hilarious. Age like, man.
That was too funny. He said, "We got plenty of time." Yeah, you think so, bro? You think so?
Oh man. We'll see what happens with Ben Simmons over the offseason, if he's gonna improve some jumpers or not, but we'll see. But the next topic, it's gonna be interesting. Kevin Durant and Scottie Pippen recently got into it on Twitter. Kevin Durant, obviously one of the all-time most entertaining NBA profiles on Twitter, I think, without question. But what did he exactly say? Yeah, so Pippen exactly said, KD, as great as his offense was, it turned out to be his worst enemy because he didn't know how to play team basketball. He kept trying to go punch for punch. And then he compared him to LeBron. KD can score better than LeBron, but has he surpassed LeBron? No. He tried to beat Milwaukee instead of utilizing his team. You see what I'm saying? And then he said LeBron would have figured out how to beat them and wouldn't have been exhausted, and he may not have taken the last shot. LeBron ain't KD, and KD ain't LeBron. So Kevin Durant replied on Twitter, and he said, "Didn't the great Scottie Pippen?" Oh man, this is hilarious. It's loading. Hold on.
So
Didn't the great Scottie Pippen refuse to go in the game for the last second shot because he was in his feelings? His coach drew up the play for a better scorer. My God. And then he said, this guy Scott also wanted to enjoy his summer, so he chose to rehab during the season. LOL, yo, at Scottie Pippen, they followed Phil, not you. Man, what a this is savage on Twitter. Man, I mean, Durant obviously destroyed him as he usually does.
Takes it to a whole different level.
Because Pippen got exposed in the Last Dance too, for having these exact comments. I mean, for having these exact things that Durant said to him. But despite all this, I have to personally say that I think Scottie Pippen has a point here. I think he might be onto something because, Durant, despite being a great scorer, despite being efficient, despite being, very prolific, all of this, he still lost the series. And to be honest, he has an offensive game that does not really utilize his teammates as much as other players like LeBron. So there is that. And then also he has had rifts with his teammates in the past as well. Case in point in Golden State with Draymond, after they had that whole going back and forth, taking the last shot, and then that was really bad, and that kind of led to the whole falling out between.
That's when he left.
That's probably the reason he left. And then on top of that, he also had bad relations with Russell Westbrook, after he left the Thunder, because they lost 3-1, and then Kevin Durant did not reach out to Russell Westbrook and say that he was leaving, despite the fact that they were brothers. When they called each other, I mean, the love between them was evident in the Thunder, but then he didn't tell him. So, Scottie, okay, not really a fan of some of his takes, and he changes up his shit a lot. His opinions a lot. But I mean, some of the teammates, I mean, some of the relations he's had with his teammates in the past, Durant, I think could have been managed better. So I think Scottie does have somewhat of a point here. That's my opinion. You guys are entitled to different opinions.
Well, I'm gonna go real quick because I know you have a lot to say to this. I'm gonna keep mine short. I don't really agree with Scottie's take. I don't know if you guys are watching First Take, but then he came to say that LeBron has won a ring without superstars or without help.
Yeah, that was BS. Yeah.
That was
so
insane.
after he said that, I was like, yeah, Scottie's probably just doing this for some public attention. I don't agree with his first statement, though. Durant has proved that he can utilize his teammates. He did when Russ was injured many years in OKC. Just this situation, he had to claw his team to a chance against the Bucks just because Steve Nash, as a coach, didn't really drop a good game plan to get shooters open, to run an offense entirely through Kevin Durant. So James Harden just come up the floor with the ball, give it to Durant. He created his own shot. If he can't get a shot, he had to kick it to somebody else. So I don't agree with it. I mean, Durant has proved with other teammates before the whole Golden State thing that he can play as a team. So, and to be fair, I think Stephen A. had brought this up. I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Stephen A., but someone on First Take did say Durant is a better team player than LeBron in terms of if he played with other superstars, Durant would be easier to play with because he doesn't need to dominate the ball, which I agree with.
That's true.
But I think Durant and LeBron are so good that they could switch. LeBron could, if he wanted to score instead, run through the whole offense through him, he could do that. If Durant wants to switch over to how LeBron plays and, be more of an all-around player, he could do that. They've both done that in the past. So I don't think it's fair to say what Scottie did. That's just my opinion.
Boy, do I have loads of information
I think
about this.
The relationship that he's had with some of his teammates in the past has been difficult, but the man has won 2 championships, so he has.
What bad relationship have you said?
I said with
kind of on him.
With not on him. It's just with Draymond and with Russ.
Him and Russ are cool now.
Cool now because they've let the tie.
Durant did say that during OKC they were just good teammates. They didn't really hang out outside of the team. So,
but he called him a brother during his MVP speech.
Bro, I call you my brother. I call Muhammad my brother. Does that even make sense? Look at us.
But we are.
As teammates, sure. But he did say, outside of basketball, they don't really hang out a lot like some other guys do.
I see what your point is, Zach.
Okay.
I think you're putting too much on that word. But let me go in because I got loads to say about this. Scottie Pippen is insane. Every time this man speaks, I want to just die. He is the most hypocritical person I've ever heard in the sports world. It's unbelievable. He doesn't have a point here. Zach and Mohammed, I don't get this because everybody acts like Durant has never carried a team or had to do this kind of stuff by himself. And they just ignore what happened in OKC when Russell Westbrook was out for that year and then the other half of the year. Everybody just ignores that, and he led them to the 2 seed, which is pretty impressive in the West because you had the Spurs, you had the Grizzlies, you had the Nuggets, you had the Mavericks, you had the Lakers were I think the Lakers were at the tail end of their existence.
They're bad.
They were terrible, right? So, but the West was stacked, all right.
Yeah, they still.
The Blazers were just on the up and coming. The Warriors, the Warriors too. So that he has done this before for seasons, literally, and he was insane, and that was when he had to literally do everything. So I don't get why people forget that or ignore that. As for this, Scottie's saying that Durant doesn't utilize his teammates is one of the most insane things I've ever said or heard. Because, Zach, we have this argument all the time, right? I've been telling you Durant could be historical and a historical scorer, 60-point games, all of that, if he would just be more aggressive, which I honestly think is one of his biggest flaws, is that he isn't because of how efficient he is. Mm-hmm. I think he could help his team more if he was just a little bit more aggressive instead of being such a team player. Onto the thing about LeBron. So when he said LeBron and KD are different, I agree with that. That statement I think is true. Yeah. But he kind of just said it weird because Durant utilized his teammates against the Bucks. If Joe Harris is literally not going to make anything, and then your second best player is Bruce Brown, which is essentially the same thing as people saying the second best player for LeBron one year was Matthew Dellavedova, which wasn't true. He just was a player that people like to say was his second best player, even though there were better players on the team.
Yep.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing. But Bruce Brown, I think, literally was the second best player for them because Harden was terrible. So I do agree with that part. I do think they're very different players. But I got a nice dog here. Guys, this is just a little puppy being brought to me.
Oh my God.
But Durant has led a team before, so I do think he can do it like LeBron, but he's never had to because there's always been a more ball dominant player that he's played with. He's always played with more ball dominant. Russell Westbrook. I mean, we've been over this countless times. We know this. Russ, Steph, Harden now. So he can do it. But I agree with you, Mohammed. I don't think Steve Nash drew up good game plans. I don't at all. I honestly think Steve Nash, coaching wise, was pathetic in that series. I think, to say the least. And that's why I said at the beginning of this, I give him 1 more year. 1 year. Because his go on.
I was gonna say it's funny because he had his assistant coach who was Mike D'Antoni, who also was a ball dominant offensive coach in mind. So he wouldn't.
You could have just asked him.
Well, I don't think it would have made it better, but it's just funny how if he went to Mike D'Antoni, being like, "Oh, just let Durant just do pick and rolls and do what Harden did back in Rockets."
But they could have done it right.
That's true. Could have probably done it better.
My issue with Steve Nash is his coaching mistakes were so glaringly obvious that they have to be fixed. They have to be. They were so bad. So I do think Durant doesn't get that. He doesn't get the notion because, yes, he joined the Warriors, and the Warriors had a solidified team that basically they gave up like 5 or 6 players to get KD, and then everybody kind of ignored that, but they still had their core, right? So he didn't have to do as much, but I do think he is capable of doing a lot. But to say that that LeBron was going to figure out that team and win, I'm sorry. I don't think even Michael Jordan, I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan. Maybe Mike could have. I don't think anybody's beating the Bucks with that Nets roster because that team was terrible. I mean, the Nets are built around those 2 guys. Really, they were built around Kyrie and KD, and then obviously adjusted right with Harden. So obviously, when you miss 2 of those 3, you're going to be in trouble. This is what happens with LeBron-led teams. This is the number one excuse is his role players don't show up, right? His teammates can't do anything. There's injuries. Kyrie's hurt. Kevin Love's hurt. No playmakers. That's always the excuse, right? Well, then you would use the same excuse here, all right? Because none of those guys know how to dribble a basketball. Unless Kevin Durant's passing them the ball and they can shoot, they're clueless. I mean, and, so I digress. I just think that's a little bit crazy to say LeBron could do that. I don't think anybody can, honestly. And then to say LeBron has won without any help is crazy. Okay, we all agree on that, right? That was asinine.
That's asinine, yeah.
That's absurd. I'm pretty sure there's only been like 1 or 2 players to ever win without like another Hall of Famer on their team.
Hakeem.
Yeah, so like it's just LeBron has had superstar help all the time. I'm pretty sure the last time LeBron didn't have superstar help, his team was not in the playoffs. So, and that was what 2-3 years ago, and whatever. But also the other thing is that LeBron ran through the East for all these years. There wasn't a team that LeBron played in the East for all those years even close to as good as the Bucks. I will say for the Heat days, the beginning of the Heat days, the Celtics and the Bulls. Yes. Yeah. The Bulls.
Yes.
I put an asterisk with the Bulls just because of the injuries they had sustained, and clearly they weren't even close to their potential. Clearly they were just too young.
Gang started.
Exactly. But let's get to KD. I've talked too long. I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. I feel a lot lighter now.
You're good, bro. You good.
But KD's response, I mean, he destroyed him, bro.
Yeah.
I can't believe he actually said this. This is all facts. I mean, this is all
Yeah.
facts. Kate,
Yeah.
what the thing is what Scottie said was subjective. It was all opinion. What Kevin Durant said was not an opinion. Those were facts. Those were actual things that happened.
Yeah.
So it speaks to Scottie's character a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of Scottie Pippen. I appreciate him as a Bulls fan. He helped us win 6 championships. I wasn't even, alive for all of them except for the last one. But, but as a person, I don't like him because I think his ego is ridiculous. And I think he just wants to be the guy when he's not the guy. And that clearly showed throughout his career, especially after MJ. And then how selfish he is that you get mad at a team drawing up a play for somebody else because that's a better decision.
Yeah.
To me, that's just selfish. So,
yeah.
Those are my thoughts. I rambled, had to do it though. Sometimes you just got to go in, guns blazing. Get ready. I love you all out there. Thank you.
That's interesting. I'm going to save my comments on KD's leadership for the Steph KD debate after the playoffs because I think that's going to be
I hope you.
Well, problem is you don't know about KD's leadership. It happened very prominently before 2016.
Yeah. It happened very badly after 2016 as well, including leaving a 3-1 team, not talking to anybody.
That was in 2016. Yeah.
Right. But interesting. Looking forward to the Steph KD debate as always, as the season nears a close. But we're still in the conference finals here, so we're going to dissect that. Playoffs. So in the Western Conference, we have the Suns and the Clippers. We were just talking about the game. It was on while we were starting this. Watch the closing seconds. But the Clippers and the Suns, we were literally just talking about how the Clippers need Kawhi back, especially after this going up 3-1. The Suns going up 3-1, and the Clippers losing this critical game on Saturday. So they need Kawhi back. I don't know how probable that is, but I don't see them getting out of that, especially after this this game. This is a very important game in the series, I think. That's my analysis. What do you guys think?
I'll go first, Mohammed, because I rambled. I'll make this short and sweet. Well, I didn't get to watch most of the game tonight. Well, actually, I did. I got to watch the first half, which was apparently the good half, and I didn't get to watch the second half. And the second half was just like watching, a YMCA game where Jack Novelli is dominating with 26 points.
I'll not be wrong for that.
Love you, Jack. He's our graphic designer. He's a great man. They needed to win this game. I'm willing to bet money Kawhi doesn't come back. And if he does, he'll get hurt again. I think it's a more serious issue than they're saying. He clearly thinks that too, because he is having issues with the medical staff, reportedly from Stephen A. Skip Bayless. So it's reminding me of the Spurs. He's not listening to the medical staff. He thinks they're lying to him again. And he's going out for other opinions, which I guess is kind of irritating the Clippers, it seems. They have no shot to win this series, in my opinion, without Kawhi. At this point, I was saying they could win the series with either way, but now that they're down 3-1, I don't know about that. That's going to be tough. So that's it.
Yeah.
What Will said, man, it's just they fought hard, especially the first 4 games, but obviously playing, was it how many games did they play?
14. They played 7 games.
And in 24 days, 25 days?
Yeah.
Just basically every other day they're playing a game. And I think fatigue was a big factor today because their shooting was atrocious. They still had a chance to win the game. But yeah, like Will said, the first half was a good half because second half, I mean, both teams shot like 30% for the whole game from the field, which is just good Lord. And the Clippers took 14 threes in the first quarter and only made 2 of them.
They kept shooting.
And they kept shooting because that's what Ty Lue kept telling them to do. I just think, at this point, this game, last game, I think is where Kawhi would have been real helpful.
Yeah.
Because they just needed somebody to take the pressure off Paul George. Need somebody else to create their own shot, play make. Because if it's not Paul George, it's Reggie Jackson who's the next best option. Reggie's a good player. He's stepped up big in the last 2 series, but
Facts.
you only go so far with Reggie Jackson. The conference finals is as far as you can get. So congrats to the Suns for playing 3 straight teams that lost the key players.
That's fair. Yeah.
So good for them. They would have been sitting at home for the past month if Anthony Davis didn't get injured. But
I'll just wait till they Heat that 1 year.
Yeah, I'll just wait till they get to the finals, and hopefully the Bucks could, show them that they're not really as good as they think they are.
That's fair. Yeah. But that game 2, they lost off of the Ayton last second alley-oop is really a hard loss, because if they had been able to steal that one and then gotten that other win too, then they could have prolonged the series, and then maybe Kawhi would have come back later. So that loss was really tough, and it would have been tied right now if they had closed that one out. But they didn't. So now it's down. They're down 3-1 without Kawhi. The odds are looking pretty slim. So it's going to be tough to pull it out of this one, but we'll see. That reaction right there from Ahmed is very
not fair, man. It's not fair.
That's facts, but we'll see what happens. But Bucks Hawks, another interesting series in the Eastern Conference Finals. Series is currently tied 1-1. Time of this recording on Saturday, but I think that the Bucks have been known to lose that first game in a couple of the series, and then close out the series after that. So I think, and then they just had that dominant game, not dominant win in game 2. So I see them closing out this series in maybe 5 games, but you never can tell, because we said that last series with the Sixers. So, but the Bucks are the clear favorite to win the title. We discussed this in the past. Giannis has been really, really good this season, this playoffs as well, especially the last series with the Nets. So that's what I have to say about this. I don't know who else wants to go, but
done.
Bucks. Yep.
Man, dude, okay. You see that, Zach? You see that disrespect he just showed you?
Yeah,
he's literally sleeping.
For me, game 1, obviously Trae Young was the story. Game 2,
he was still the story.
Yeah, he was a story. But game 2, the Bucks did what they needed to do with game 1. Play better defense and just hit their shots. Hit 11 threes in the first quarter, which is ridiculous. And they had a 30-point lead at halftime. I didn't watch the fourth quarter because they were basically up 40. Game was over with. But, Trae Young, dude, especially the second quarter, that man had like 7 turnovers in 1 quarter. So their defense, especially Jrue Holiday, stepped up big. I was surprised to see Budenholzer still have Brook Lopez in the lineup after what happened in game 1 with those high screens that the Bucks were doing. But he did make up because he had like 4 threes in the first half, and he was scoring, and he had like 3 blocks. So just as long as they do that, we'll close that in 5, and hopefully do that, and then we can get the Suns Bucks series going.
You don't seem too excited about this series, man.
What series?
The Bucks Hawks.
No, I like it, but I just think they're overmatched because Trae Young, even though he was turning over the ball over, he was the only one doing something. Other than Kevin Huerter wasn't really hitting shots. John Collins wasn't scoring as much. Bogdan has a knee injury, so he can't really, play as explosive as he usually does. So I like the Hawks. I'm a big fan of John Collins. I had Bogdan on my fantasy team, so I'm a big fan of him too. Underrated player. But, I would hope for a 7-game series, but it doesn't look like that because Hawks are too young, too inexperienced.
I told you guys that I found out I'm colorblind, right?
You did tell us.
I didn't see
tell me that. You didn't tell the fans though.
Oh, yeah, I just found out I'm colorblind.
Oh,
wow. It came out of the purple. Out of the purple. Crickets. Crickets. Walk off the set. Let me just swivel my way off this side.
I had to
Okay.
clear my earbuds real quick after I heard that.
I saw that today and I was like, I thought of you, Zach. I was like, this is a Zach joke right here.
It wasn't a Zach joke because you said it though. So.
Yeah, I did it for you. I didn't want you to embarrass yourself. You're I know you. So Trae Young, I saw a segment. They were asking who's the most important player in this series. I think obviously it's Trae Young. Max Kellerman said it was Middleton. Stephen A. said it was Trae Young as well. The reason it's Trae Young is because we've been over it countless times. They have no one outside of him. They have to. It took 48 points for them to barely beat the Bucks, barely win, and the Bucks literally just spanked them. If they had even played a starter in the fourth quarter, which I don't think they did.
I don't think so either.
I'm pretty sure they could have won by 50 or 60 points if they tried. Like,
ridiculous.
I was just watching the worst NBA playoff game ever video a few nights ago.
Yeah.
I think that game might be up there. I think they might have to remake it about that game because that was the worst playoff game I've ever seen in my life. It was terrible.
Man.
I mean, if you're a Bucks fan, it's a good game.
Well, and I'm rooting for the Bucks, but I'm talking about in terms of content. We just got an absolute obliteration. The Hawks couldn't do anything, and it was close up until like the 5-minute mark of the second half or second quarter, and then it was 10 points then, and then at the end of the half it was 30. So they outscored. I think
they went on a 20-0 run.
They went on a 20-0 run. Literally, they literally went on a 20-0 run. And I think Trae Young had like 7 turnovers, like you said, and that it was really bad. And then it was just
the half. Yeah.
It was terrible. It was so hard to watch. And I just kept watching. I don't know why, but I did, hoping for some change. But here's the thing: the Hawks are not good enough to win this series if the Bucks play even close to how good they are. And here's what should scare the Hawks. Giannis took 1-3 last night or 2 nights ago. Last night, right?
Was it 1? I thought he made.
He took 2. He took 1 in the first quarter, then 1 at the end of the half, I think.
Yeah.
But it was from like full quarter, half quarter, something. So it wasn't. I'm not counting that. I'm talking about 1 actual 3. The rest of the time, he just bullied them inside, and they had no answer. None.
Chicken, man. Mouse in the house.
For a dude who can't shoot. And everybody worries about, he can't shoot. How is he going to be successful? I don't know. He looked pretty successful to me. He looked pretty good. And Middleton doesn't even need to be great. They're going to win. If Drew Holiday, as far as I'm concerned, he should never shoot the ball ever. He should never. All he should do is pass, and he should exhaust himself on defense guarding Trae Young. That's it. Don't even. If you're truly about winning, don't worry about scoring, all right? Just get through this series. All you have to do is guard Trae Young. Nothing else. Literally nothing else. Because if you shut down Trae Young and you saw he was terrible, shot terrible. It was literally his worst playoff game ever. Not a huge sample size, but if you do that, the Hawks have no chance, dude. They have no chance. They have nobody else. So just shut them down. Bucks obliterated them in virtually every stat you could possibly imagine. It's the worst playoff game I've ever seen. I'm sorry. It was. It was only kind of respectable because the Bucks just kind of took it easy. If they hadn't, it would have just been something to cry about. But I do, like you, Zach, I expect this to be over in 5, but the Hawks have not surprised me, or they have surprised me before, so I wouldn't be surprised.
You say the Trae that the Hawks only have Trae, but he didn't have it in that game 7 against the Sixers, and Kevin Huerter stepped up too. And
but Trae Young was the one who iced that game. He was really good in the closing moments.
That's true. Yeah.
And the Hawks have a really good, well-rounded team. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm talking about, like, when I say they only have Trae, he's their ball handler. They don't really have anybody else to run an offense through.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're boxing wanting him or something, like if Drew's just all over him, I don't know who else you go to.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But I hope it's Bucks Suns. Cross my fingers.
That would be interesting. Yeah. we'll see what happens. Any last thoughts, gentlemen? Any bold takes? We've already kind of said our whole facts.
Let's just say,
yeah.
I'm gonna just be bold and say the Bucks
Clippers come back.
Clippers come back. That would be crazy.
I want to say that. I'm gonna say Clippers come back because Kawhi returns Game 6.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, Game 6, so they're winning Game 5.
So they will win Game 5, and Kawhi will still have a chance, and then they'll come back Game 6, and then they'll win that, and then they go back Game 7.
I like
and
it.
They win.
Is it bold if I say Kawhi doesn't come back?
No.
No matter what. Okay, I don't think he comes back no matter what, even if they win the series. But I'm gonna just be super stupid and bold and say Bucks sweep the finals opponent.
Wow. We're gonna monitor that though. But Bulls got next. Bulls up next. But appreciate everybody tuning in this episode. A lot of good content as always. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, popping off. Appreciate all of y'all. Another episode 22. Thank you. Peace.
Global warming is a myth. Peace.